So using myself as an example, I'm going to law school. I didn't know until my junior year of college that I had to take a entrance exam to even get accepted into certain schools.
Right.
And so if you understand that that is a step that you have to take to get to a certain profession earlier on, maybe your preparation for whatever that is going to be much different. And
it could be an enlightening moment for you also, because you could be sitting there thinking, I wanted to do something, but it was way too hard to do it. And when you figure like, that's all I have to do.
Exactly.
That was it. That's all you have to do. And you can get this certification or get this degree to do that. So
that's correct.
That's interesting. So that game is going to be for, I guess, smaller kids?
No. So going back to the full circle exposure of the resourcefulness that would come with the book itself would be for younger kids. The older kids, so I would say, I think we said we wanted between 5th grade and 9th grade, that's who the video game is going to be geared towards. And then also there's going to be a clothing line that's attached to the books as well. That's going to be for the young adults and adults.
So you got to take me there.
Yeah.
How does the clothing line and the books come together?
The clothing line is a clothing line that is going to have quotes and verbiage on it that promotes literacy. The first hoodie that's actually going to drop is
almost like what I got on, I guess.
Right. Exactly.
I'm asking you that damn question, and I'm sitting over here with something on, doing exactly what you're talking about you want to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the brand is actually going to be called Urban Hero.
Okay.
And so the first hoodie that's going to drop is actually going to say UH on the front. It's going to have it on the front. And then on the back, it's going to have in fancy lettering, just read more books. And also, in the hoodies is going to be on the tag a QR code for anybody to be able to purchase books and the video game.
This is Strategic Moves with Kenn, Dowell.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves, and I'm your host, Kenn Dowell. This is a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together, and we do it every Sunday right here on this channel. And when I'm not shooting this channel, I'm the owner of Strategic Resources, where we specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relations, and I've been doing it for over 20 years right here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I want to help make your next move a strategic move. This program gives me an opportunity to do just that. And so, for today, we got a gentleman on our program who's going to talk to us a little bit about culture. We're going to talk a little bit about business, and he's going to share with us his new project that he got. His name is Tim Roberts, and he's an author, and he has a new book that he has out as well. And he's a young entrepreneur in our city, and I wanted to have him on the show so that he can share with us some of the new things he got going. Hey, let's give Mr. Tim Roberts Jr. a real round of applause. Everybody, let's give Tim Roberts Jr. a big round of applause. As Tim, we want to thank you for coming out here today, man. Thank you for coming in here, man.
Of course, thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, no, man. It was our pleasure to have you here, man. The studio audience love you here, man.
Thank you so much,
man. So we want to get you settled in, and we're going to talk a little bit about what you got going, man.
Yes, sir.
And all of that. So, Tim, tell us a little bit about you, man. I know that you grew up here in Cleveland.
Yes, sir.
I know your father really well, and I know your mom and the things that they've been doing in the community and that kind of stuff. So tell us, Tim. Tell us a little bit about you, man.
Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the invitation. Like I just said before, I am so glad also that you made sure you mentioned the junior after my name, because my dad makes sure that I harp on it just as much as he wants me to make sure the other people that I talk to and come in contact with harp on it as well, because we are two different individuals, and he wants me to make sure that we highlight that. But I am born and raised in the city of Cleveland, Ohio. Came from an amazing household. My mom and my dad are both two amazing people within the city of Cleveland, and also just within my personal life as well. I've seen amazing things through their experiences professionally, and I've been blessed to be around some amazing influences as well. I went to Lake Erie College for undergrad.
Hold on, wait.
Yes, sir.
You got to slow down, man.
Okay.
Slow down, 'cause we slow and old on our program.
Fair enough. I got you.
And we got this
I'm
thing.
used to running through it.
Yeah, you
used to running through it.
You going down. Tell me this, though, because we got this thing from Cleveland, and you know this thing from Cleveland. Everybody got to know it, and you done went to other places. What neighborhood are you from, man? Where you grew up at?
Yeah, man. So I'm from Ward 7, born and raised. The Huff neighborhood,
Huff
man.
neighborhood.
That's where I'm from. That's where my heart is. That's where home is, man. Thurgood Marshall Recreation Center, the Salvation Army, all of that stuff. All of those places are home to me.
All right, so you went to what high school you ended up going to? Because you didn't go to East, no?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit younger, and so East High was closed by the time that I
Correct.
was high school age. I actually went to John Hay School of Architecture and Design.
Oh, so you went to John Hay?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
and that's one of the magnet schools, or sort of we called them magnet schools back in the day.
Yeah.
But now I guess they call those.
It's just a general CMSD school
general
now.
CMSD
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
And you played sports there?
I did. I played football all 4 years. My junior year, I actually broke my leg, and so I wasn't able to play for other than one game.
Really?
And yeah, but actually 3 plays in one game, and one of them was a touchdown, so it's okay. It's okay. So I broke my leg, caught the touchdown on the touchdown play, got a high ankle sprain, and the rest of the season was over.
Wow.
And so it was pretty bad, but it is what it is. I ended up coming back my senior year, had an amazing senior season. I played half of the season at quarterback, half of the season at tight end,
Oh, really?
and I ended up getting a scholarship offer from Lake Erie College in Painesville, Ohio, to play football out there after.
Oh, so did you actually go there and play all 4 years?
I did.
Played all 4 years?
I did. I sure did.
Oh, so how was your college experience in playing football there?
My college experience in playing football was a little bit different than what people would probably assume if they have not played collegiate sports. It's different playing sports as a college athlete and also as a professional athlete because people's livelihood is dependent on how well you produce. And so if you have a bad season and a coach recruits you, you're not necessarily going to be the one that's in trouble. The coach is the one that's going to get fired. So the coach is the person that is going to have to figure out a new way to feed his family and figure out a new ways to make income since you didn't do your job. And so it's definitely much more of a job than just a sport that you would just play on a daily basis. Woke up at 5 a.m. to go to practice. Between 5 a.m. and 8 o'clock is when we would practice. We would go to school from 8 to about 3, leave school, go to film, leave film, go to weightlifting, and then go to sleep after study hall, and then wake up and do it all over again. So,
did that for 4 years.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what's interesting though is what you said about your coach, because I didn't heard a lot of quite a few people play sports and stuff, but I never heard that them say it that way. So why do you feel your coach made you feel? Because that's a bit of pressure. I don't think you as a student athlete should have to experience him.
You don't necessarily hear it verbalized from the coach, but you understand it as an absolute. If you don't perform, if your teammates don't perform, then that coach is no longer going to be there. And that comes down to who they decide to bring in as recruits to play. And so if those guys aren't performing, if those guys aren't playing well like they expected them to, then the team is not going to perform well. If the team doesn't perform well, the athletic director will bring them in the office like, hey, man, listen, you're not doing your job. Need you to get up out of here. It's time for you to rotate out.
And to your point, especially a team, if you guys are really
course.
jiving with the coach and that's your
course.
guy, and the last
Yes.
thing you want to do is see him gone and they bring in somebody else who may not even.
Because when one person comes in, a lot of times how it works in sports overall is if one coach leaves, especially if it's the head coach, then that entire staff leaves as well. And then a new head coach that comes in brings an entirely new offensive, defensive coordinator, quarterback coach, receiver coach, linebacker coach. All that stuff is brand new. And so actually, like I was saying, my experience was much different at Lake Erie College than a lot of other athletes because of the fact that I actually had 3 different head coaching changes while I was in school. So the person that actually recruited me and the team that recruited me, they weren't there after my freshman year. And so I had to reintroduce myself, reintroduce my talents every single year that I played college football.
And what position did you play?
I played tight end.
Wow. Well, how was a lot of competition though?
It was a lot of competition, but it's a lot different playing sports with other people that were also recruited to play at very high levels. It's not like high school where you have a couple of people out there that's just out there just to say that they on the football team, a couple of guys that are just happy to be wearing a jersey. It's like, no, when you are getting essentially paid to go to school to play sports, then it's ultra competitive from the moment that you step on the campus to the moment that you leave.
Was the goal to go to the league? That's where you got in it? Your goal was never
my goal was never to make it to the NFL. My goal was to make sure that I got my college paid for and that I could create experiences in school that would teach me enough about the real world to become an effective professional.
So what did you what was your major and what did you graduate
Yep.
in?
So I majored in political science. I graduated cum laude. And I actually, it's a pretty cool statistic by my name. I was the first African-American president of our National Honor Society at Lake Erie College.
Okay.
And so it was really, really cool. Great experience there. On the academic side, on the professional side, I can say that I definitely took advantage of every opportunity that was given to me.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, man. And you just stayed focused and you knew what I guess they say you knew the assignment.
Had to.
You know?
Had to. Yes, sir. And that just is a testament to the people that I grew up around, my parents, and all the other influential people that I grew up around.
So what happened when you got out of college?
So as soon as I got out of college, it was COVID. And so it was extra tough. There was no jobs available for anybody anywhere. Everybody was trying to cut down staff.
Right.
And so it was a fairly difficult time for me, especially because nowadays they call it like postgraduate depression, people not knowing exactly what they're going to do with their lives or not knowing if jobs are going to be available after they spent this huge ticket on their college education. Also during that time, and you know that I was raised around a lot of social advocates. George Floyd's murder or death was actually during that same summer.
Okay.
And so there was a vast amount of protests. You know, it was a ton of looting, all that type of stuff was going on in a lot of major cities, including the city of Cleveland. And I wanted to figure out how I could use my education and also my interest in service to sort of initiate a more positive change and sign of growth within our communities. And so actually the first thing that I did when I got home after the passing of George Floyd was I took to social media, decided to sort of start to activate the thought processes of people that I knew followed me to make sure that they were reacting to situations in a more positive light. I actually, instead of taking people out to go protest, I actually got a chance to get groups of 50 to 75 young people together for 10 weeks in the summer to create an anti-litter campaign. And so we went on a community cleanup campaign throughout the entire summer. Every Saturday from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, we went out, stormed the city, and we made sure we cleaned up all of our major communities. So we hit Union Miles, we hit the Harvard area, we hit Huff, we hit Chester, we made sure we hit the Glenville area, every place in the city of Cleveland where we knew people were probably going to act a fool, or we just knew of those places as places that needed to be cleaned up and beautified. We went out there, we cleaned up trash, we planted trees, we did all of that stuff.
Excellent. And was that an organization you founded or you just something you were doing?
That was just something that I was doing. And once I realized that I had the capacity and the following to be able to create a sustainable organization, that's when I went on to try to take those steps to create that. Yeah.
And so you went from that, did you get employed or?
I did. So my very first job out of college was actually the assistant marketing director at Famiko's Foundation. And so I took over all their social media. I would be the photographer at all of their events, all that stuff. So that was my first job after I got
How you like doing that?
It was fun. It was fun, and it actually is what sparked my interest in creating my first company, which is the Incubator CLE, a marketing company that I created with my business partner, Desmond Stanley.
So let's just talk a little bit about that. And what's the name of your company?
The Incubator CLE.
And what is that?
So it is a social media marketing and management company. We do everything from social media management, marketing, videography, photography, branding, all that type of stuff. Anything that we can do to help small businesses within the city of Cleveland is where we started, but now we're sort of branching out now to help them adapt to the climate of this digital age and trying to own a business now.
So you're staying in the same lane of working with nonprofit organizations, or you working with for-profit and nonprofit organizations?
We work for for-profit, nonprofit organizations. We work for sports teams. We work for public officials. We work for all of those types of people.
Who's some of your clients? Yeah, so far.
So we actually do the marketing for Councilman Richard Starr. We do marketing for
stuff you have done. You don't have to say.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done marketing for the Cleveland Rugby League. We've done marketing for Councilman Richard Starr. Actually, during campaign season, we did assisting marketing with Councilman, or he was trying to be Mayor Bashir Jones, and then also my mother, who was running for City Council in Ward 7, Shauna Roberts. We do a ton of stuff, and so our branches are very, very broad.
Okay. And so in social media is where you really play well at?
Yes.
And you say you do some video or photography and
that's
that
correct.
As well?
That's correct.
So what advice do you have to give to that young entrepreneur as he starting their business and as it relates to social media? You
Absolutely.
got a tip for him?
First and foremost, do not be afraid to invest in yourself. Being an entrepreneur is not cheap. do not assume that you'll be able to jump right into something and make money right away and then you'll be able to sustain the business immediately. I would suggest, one, using whatever your day job is now to invest into whatever your side hustle or your entrepreneurial goals would be, and then take off from there. Create a business plan, and then also find mentors, because you have to be able to talk to people who have experienced things before you so that you don't sort of run into the same issues that they did.
And tell me a little bit about your partner. You said it's you and your partner?
Yes, that's correct. So my partner is Desmond Stanley. I actually met him when I was in the 5th grade.
Really?
So we went to university school together.
Okay.
He is about 2 years older than me. And so at university school, a lot of times, if you're a minority, it's a private school in the city of Cleveland, for those of you who don't know. If you're a minority student, they will make sure you shadow with a minority student. And Desmond was the minority student that I shadowed with. And so we got introduced to each other there. He became one of my older mentors when I was in middle school. And then we stopped talking throughout the duration of high school. But then we linked back up because he actually went to Lake Erie College with me as well.
Really?
Yep,
So
and he played football. Yep.
And he played football.
Yep. And so he was on the opposite side of the ball from me. He played linebacker and safety, and I played tight end. And so once I recognized that he went to Lake Erie, I was like, oh, yeah, well, I know that this place is going to be a good place for me to be, especially because I had known him for so long. So the business idea came from actually Desmond. Desmond is like a serial entrepreneur. He's been an entrepreneur for forever. And so when I got to Lake Erie, he was selling shoes. He was doing a little bit of everything just to make a little bit more money, doing like club promotions, all that type of stuff. And we actually reconnected after we graduated, because he's 2 years older than me. He graduated 2 years before I did. And so we had another brief hiatus where we just stopped communication with each other. But then once I started with the community cleanups, he actually came in contact with me again through coming to those events. And then he was like, hey, you have a great following, and I know that you enjoy having an entrepreneurial spirit too. I know that you're a hustler doing X, Y, and Z. And I told him, like, yeah, I see the same thing in you. Why not start a business together? And we sat down, created a business plan, figured out what we wanted to do. Next thing you know, the next community cleanup that we had, I want to say it was like week 5 of the community cleanup series out of the 10. The end of the community cleanup, we were like, all right, so are we really about this or no? Like, what are we doing? And he was like, okay, well, I'm dead serious. I said, all right, me too. Let's go look for spaces right now. Okay. So we left the community cleanup, we drove downtown, down the warehouse district, and we called every single sign that we saw on the side of the road until we found a space. We found a space, and that space has been our home.
And where are you guys located now?
We're actually located on East 9th Street. I forgot the exact address, but we can put it right here. I'm going to throw it right there.
And how long y'all been there now?
So we've been there, the new space, we actually have 2 spaces now. So we've been at the new space for about 2.5 months. The first space that we got, we've had that space for about 1.5 years now.
And so is you, your partner, anyone else who work there?
We have a few interns, and our interns are actually funneled through different programs that we started with our undergraduate institution and also with Cleveland State. And so we get Cleveland State students and students from Lake Erie College to come and intern for us yearly.
So as it relates to your social media, you guys do create posts, you do your posting for you. When you say social media and you say you do that, you hear people all the time say, I do social media for you. What does that mean when a client comes to you and say, hey, I really want to talk to you about helping me brand my business and get a social and get myself out there in the digital on all my platforms. What does that really mean?
Of course. So first and foremost, when a client contacts us, the first thing that we do is show them our proof of work. So we show them logistics, we show them numbers of past clients that we have, and then we break it to them like, hey, essentially what we do is take your social media from you. You don't have to worry about this aspect of your business ever again until you decide to leave our services. So we'll take your Instagram, take your TikTok, take your Facebook, take your LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever it may be, and we curate the content. We get in contact with you, create content creation schedules so that we can come to you, figure out how exactly you want your content to be laid out, how often you want your post to be made, and then we go from there. So we create the content for you, we draft the content for you, we edit the content for you, we also post it for you as well. We respond to your DMs if you feel that comfortable, or if you want to have your phone or your social media accessible to you, we allow you to be able to respond to whoever might be your clientele after you see the work that we do.
So do you guys work with a client to help them develop that out and give them recommendations on what it is that they could do to help further their brand?
Yep. So it depends on what the client's asking for. So if the client is looking to grow in followers, we specifically create a plan that helps our client grow in followers. We take that over, and then once they decide to leave our services, they decide that they don't need our services anymore, we send that plan to them so that they can be able to sustain it for themselves. If somebody is looking for better ways to sell or disperse their e-commerce, we do the exact same thing. And so it really comes down to whatever type of help with social media a client may need, and we curate plans to help them achieve those goals.
And I guess for a nonprofit organization or a business like that, if it was awareness, if they had needed some help with getting out a message about a certain thing that was going on, events and that.
Yes, so we do all that type of stuff. We create robocall and email lists. We do all that type of stuff. If it's a nonprofit, we help them take care of all their social media as well. So if they need everything from flyers to be created to advertisements run, we do all of that for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like, hey, I'm gonna tell you, one of the things about that is you are in the right line of business, because the digital thing is what's happening right now.
Absolutely.
And business-wise is changing all the time. And if you're a small businessman, just like I am now, a small entrepreneur, but I can't do everything,
right?
You know, and it's hard to try to keep up with that. And most people in their business, they go through highs and lows. So in your low point, you try to say, well, let me really try to cram and get as much as I can in about social media and other things I need to do to pick up my business. But as soon as you pick it up, again, you get busy again, and it goes back down again. So having the ability to have some help and knowing somebody who can do that is going to be key to most small business. So I think you're in the right business as it relates to that.
Sir. So we were pretty strategic in what we decided to go into.
Oh yeah, well that's the key right there, brother. You're in the right place to talk strategic stuff.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Right. So let's talk about this book, man. You wrote a book. I brought him on because you wrote a book, and we talked about it in your intro there. A book. What inspired you to write a book, and tell everybody the name of this book? It's a series of books.
Of course,
right?
It's actually 4 books. That's correct. So the inspiration behind let me tell you. Let me start here. So I wrote 4 books. It's the I Know a Hero book series. And essentially the premise behind the book series is to allow young people to really see all that they could become when they get older, beyond us as adults just telling them, you could grow up to be whatever you want to be, because you realize the older you get, the more vague that statement is, because you really have so much to do out here. And so what I did was I took elementary school learning subjects, broke them down into 4 books. So it's I Know a Hero in Math and Money, Science and Medicine, Public Service and Politics, and Entertainment and Service. And in each book, there is 25 to 30 different career options, as well as descriptions for those careers in each book.
Let's talk about the first one.
Of course.
What was the first book you wrote? Because that had to be the one that you said, I'm writing me a book. And so what was the first one?
So I wanted to essentially make it all one.
Okay.
But then I was like, you know what? There's just way too much information out here for me to just make one book about all the careers that they will have available to them.
How big would one book would have been?
Exactly. So that might have been a little unfeasible for some elementary school kids.
Exactly.
They probably would have put it down. And I was like, you know what? Let me just rip this up, use this paper for something else.
Exactly.
But the first book that I wrote was the book that was surrounded by my own personal interests, which is the Public Service and Politics book. There's so many jobs in public service. There's so many jobs in politics. And I wanted to make sure that was the first book that I got a chance to put out there so that people could really see all the things that were available. So the inspiration behind the books was the fact that I had plenty of friends that I went to school with, that graduated college, got fancy degrees, and still didn't know what the heck they wanted to do with their lives once they graduated. I felt like the easiest way to alleviate that issue was to start young and be able to get these career options in front of these kids so that they could at least be able to ask questions about what else was available to them beyond whatever was in the books in the first place.
So give me some examples of the first book.
So we have lawyers, we have police officers, we have firefighters, all the cliche stuff.
Not in the political book, right? Yeah. In the politics book, you did lawyers and police? And police officers?
Police officers, public service and politics, absolutely.
Oh, so it's public service and
politics.
All right, now I'm with you. Okay,
right, exactly.
So go with
So we got the public service, we got occupations like paramedics, EMTs, firefighters, police officers. Then we have lawyers. We have, let's say, Congress people, presidents, senators, governors, council people. All that type of stuff are in books, are in those books. Some other ones that I'm forgetting, of course.
Right.
But
no, I was just trying to get an idea of where you was going.
Exactly.
All right, what was your second book then?
That was Science and Medicine. So my girlfriend is actually pre-med bio at Cleveland State.
Okay.
And so she's graduating. She's getting ready to go to medical school. Myself, I'm getting ready to go to law school. I was like, okay, well, it would be cool for us to be able to show young people the things that they could do with science and medicine. So beyond just doctors and nurses, they needed to be able to hear about astronauts. They needed to be able to hear about mechanical engineers. They needed to be able to hear about all those types of careers as well.
Okay. What was third? Number 3?
Third, math and money. So math and money was everything that had to do with tech and money, so like banking. So we had bank tellers, we have software engineers, we have all that type of stuff in the math and money book. And then the last book is the entertainment and service book, which is the book that I wanted to create. Exactly. That's the book that I wanted to create it for. That's the book that I wanted to create for young people who might not necessarily see college as an option for them or something that they would like to do, of course, because there's a lot of careers out there for people that don't decide to go to school as well.
What you throw in there on that one? You remember some of those offhand?
You have DJs, you have promoters, you have social media influencers like yourself.
Okay.
We got, let's see, photographers, videographers, artists, both musical and illustrators.
Right.
We have clothing designers. We have all that type of stuff.
So out of all the books,
that's
the only one to me. It seemed like it's out of the box. Everything else is normal,
all right.
It's
a lot of out of the box thinkers.
No, and
so you gotta create it.
That's the best one.
Of course.
The reason why I'm saying, I guess what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
The other books are still doctors, lawyers,
of course,
that kind of thing. But in school,
Yep.
Out of the box thinking. That's why I said, oh, this one ought to be interesting. Because nobody ever say, oh, you could be a DJ.
Exactly.
And really be serious about the fact that, no, you can really go be a DJ.
Right.
And feed your family and perhaps merely make a lot of money.
Yes.
And clothing design. You were never in school, they said, you know, you could be a clothing designer.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. And so the reason why I wrote the books is to spark that conversation.
No, that's good.
And to give teachers an avenue to finally to be able to discuss these things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times too, especially in public schools, you have a set curriculum that you have to teach from, and that's it. So if I can at least get these books into schools where kids can themselves ask questions based on whatever a teacher is reading to them, then I'm doing my job.
And you want to try to, I guess, get them in the series so that they can get all five, because if they can jump from one to hip hop, they'll be like, can I just, no, we're going to do all of them and leave this last one at the end that you really want to know what you want to do. Right. Because that's going to get their attention.
Of course.
Yeah, but I think that's good. I think that's really good. So where is the book? How can you get it?
Yes, sir. So it's on Amazon. I Know a Hero in Public Service and Politics, Math and Money, Science and Medicine, or Entertainment and Service. But it's also on my company's website. So if you need marketing services or if you would like to purchase a book, go ahead and head to the incubatorcle.com.
You know what? And we will make sure we will put in the description, we'll have all the links to all of his things, as well as a link to Amazon where you can get that book and maybe give it to one of your grandkids or maybe one of your children or somebody like that in the future who may want to have something that's good. And we're going to support this brother and his efforts in doing that. And are you planning on writing any other books?
I'm actually planning on writing one more, but after I finish everything that I want to comprise with the book that I have now. So my greatest goal in life, another reason why I wrote the books, is because I never had a specific occupation of what I wanted to become when I got older. I always told myself that what I wanted to do was put myself in a position to be the greatest resource possible to the greatest amount of people possible. That's what I wanted to do. And so with the book, I'm actually finalizing now, a video game that's going to be able to be attached to the book, that's going to be able to have an avatar who will be the kid walk through the step-by-step processes to attain each career that they see in the books. Because another issue that we have is not just not knowing what careers are available, but also how to become whatever it is that you see.
That's interesting. Now let's talk a little bit about that. So you want to build a video game.
It's being built right now, yes.
It's being built right now. Because I remember in your bio, you did have a video developer.
Yes, sir.
In there, and
Yes, sir.
You're right when you mentioned that. I didn't mention that, but yes, you are doing it. So you are building a video game.
I am building a video game.
You gonna tell us the name of it, or it's still in the?
It's still in the works. It's still in the works.
Okay,
I'll let you all know. You all will be the first to know. I promise.
Okay,
I promise. I'm gonna let y'all know soon.
All right. So give us. All right. So tell me more. Then it's a video game, and the purpose of the game will be to help young people go through the process of all 5 books, right?
Correct. It'll show a kid how to, because a kid also may say, oh yeah, I want to be a police officer, I want to be a lawyer. The cliche things that you might see is the careers that are available, but they don't know how to become them. And so to alleviate that issue, let's help these kids walk through each step in becoming whatever it is that they may want to be. So using myself as an example, I'm going to law school. I didn't know until my junior year of college that I had to take a entrance exam to even get accepted into certain schools.
Right.
And so if you understand that that is a step that you have to take to get to a certain profession earlier on, maybe your preparation for whatever that is going to be much different. And
it could be an enlightening moment for you also, because you could be sitting there thinking, I wanted to do something, but it was way too hard to do it. And when you figure like, that's all I have to do.
Exactly.
That was it. That's all you have to do. And you can get this certification or get this degree to do that. So
that's correct.
That's interesting. So that game is going to be for, I guess, smaller kids?
No. So going back to the full circle exposure of the resourcefulness that would come with the book itself would be for younger kids. The older kids, so I would say, I think we said we wanted between 5th grade and 9th grade, that's who the video game is going to be geared towards. And then also there's going to be a clothing line that's attached to the books as well. That's going to be for the young adults and adults.
So you got to take me there.
Yeah.
How does the clothing line and the books come together?
The clothing line is a clothing line that is going to have quotes and verbiage on it that promotes literacy. The first hoodie that's actually going to drop is
almost like what I got on, I guess.
Right.
Exactly. I asked you that damn question, and I'm sitting over here with something on, doing exactly what you're talking about you want to do.
Exactly. Okay, so the brand is actually going to be called Urban Hero.
Okay.
And so the first hoodie that's going to drop is actually going to say UH on the front. It's going to have on the front. And then on the back, it's going to have in fancy lettering, just read more books. And also, in the hoodies is going to be on the tag a QR code for anybody to be able to purchase books and the video game.
You know, because I'm going to give one of my little strategic tips.
Yes.
I wanted to, on my baseball cap, I wanted to put the QR code.
Do it.
For my podcast and everything. So if somebody say, oh, I like your hat, wear and get one, you could tell them, fam, you know, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that's not utilized enough.
Of course.
On some of the stuff.
And I want to make sure that I begin using QR codes now, because there's no telling in the next 5 or 6 years what the next thing is going to be, and you don't want to be caught last on the wave. So
exactly. Oh, no. Those some great ideas, man. You got some good things headed your way.
Yes,
I can see that. Anything else you got going, Mr. Tim?
So like I said, I'm going to law school in the fall. It's between right now Howard, Rutgers, and Case.
Oh, so you gonna end up leaving up out of here for law school?
Probably.
Hold on, you know, I'm gonna jump back.
Yes, go ahead.
Because I want to go on to something that I did. These books and stuff that you're doing.
Yes, sir.
You haven't gotten them into CMS. Are you working to get them in CMS?
They are in CMSD schools. So I'm actually in 15 CMSD schools right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm in 15 CMSD schools.
You should
right
have started out with that. Let the people know that the book is out
so they're
there.
there. Your kids, 9 times out of 10, your kids have access to the books. Yeah. But if you want them at home and you want access to the resources that come with the books, then go ahead and purchase them yourself.
Also, what about your part of your marketing is to get them in other, like Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights?
That's correct.
And how about national? How's your national push on them? And I guess what I wanted you to share with us, what's the process like for someone who would think about doing it to even try to do that? Is it a hard process to do that or what?
The process is not difficult. I will say the process is relatively expensive. It depends on who you are. So what I did was I went on a freelance artist website. It's called Fiverr to find my illustrator. I wrote the books myself, but I found my illustrator on Fiverr. And so I paid the illustrator to create the illustrations for each book. And then once I did that, I had to get the books printed, which was also pretty expensive because most websites that you print your books through, they have a certain quota that you have to hit. You can't print like 1 or 2 books. You have to print like 50 at a time. And so they make sure that they get their money's worth with that as well. So it's not very difficult.
On
you have
Amazon,
to have an idea.
though, when you put it on Amazon
takes care of it all.
They take care of it all.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you this. The part I was saying, distribution. I want to put this book in the Shaker Heights school system. What's the process? And then let's talk about then, and say if I wanted to go to Columbus, Cincinnati.
Yes.
Is that process hard about doing that and getting something in the school? Because especially now with what they're talking about with all of these books that cancel in and all of that stuff. So tell me about that. Is that process hard to get a book in?
It's pretty difficult, but it's not difficult for the reasons that some may think. It's just difficult because it's a lot of outreach that you have to do yourself. And so to get my books into the CMSD schools that I'm in right now, I want to say that I sent maybe the same email to the same person like 5 or 6 times at various different schools. And so if you multiply that up, that's about 500 emails that you just got to send out, just pushing out, pumping out to people. But I mean, if you look at it, and I'm a big proponent of being able to look at the people that came before you and recognizing how easy things may be for you now, especially in the digital age. Because it's like, all right, to get 500 mailers out to whoever it may have been 50 years ago would have took 7 months.
Right.
But I have the ability to do it in an hour and a half. I might as well just bite the bullet and do it.
Get it over with.
And so that's how I recognize that I will be able to get into these different schools or have access to different places.
So do the school have in what we're call in most businesses a buyer, or is this you go in front of the school board and present? How do you do that?
Yeah, so each school district is different.
Right.
So with CMS, every individual school has their own individual pot of money that they can pull from. And so that just changed after COVID, though, because during COVID or before COVID, you would just reach out to whoever the CEO is. You would have conversations with them, and they will put you in contact with whoever you would have to talk to, and that person will give you access to all the schools. It's more difficult now because you have to reach out to every school individually.
So it's not a thing where CMSD say, we like this book and y'all going to all use these books.
Nope.
Whoa, so you beating the path. You, like you say, you actually going, I would like you to consider using my book in your curriculum. So you're talking to a bunch of principals.
That's correct.
Oh, that's what
That's
I want.
correct.
That's the piece we were trying to get.
That's
also,
correct.
no, all right, so the grind is real.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
It does not stop. It does not stop.
So if I was going to go outside of Cleveland, that's the whole thing.
It may be different. So with actually the city of Cleveland Heights is all under one umbrella. And so I was actually invited to a career fair / book fair at the Cleveland Heights, at a couple of Cleveland Heights elementary schools, but I was in contact with one person. Okay. Same thing with Painesville City Schools. I was in contact with one person. But with Columbus and trying to get into Columbus schools, I have to reach out to people individually.
Same thing like Cleveland.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so like I just wanted to make that point because I want everybody to understand that. No, I didn't just write a book and throw it on Amazon.
Not at all. You gotta get to it. You gotta get to it. Yes.
All right, Tim. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on our program. And it was something you was going to say though, because we cutting it down. It was something you was trying to say before I cut you off. It was you going to law school, you getting your stuff together for law. Oh, you were saying you was going to law school and you got 3 different schools you were thinking about going to. Case?
Yes, Case, Rutgers in New Jersey, and Howard
so
in
I'm
D.C.
going to lead you in. We're going to cut so I can lead you back in.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, all right, Tim, what you got going next? So what's going next with you, Tim? What you got going?
So I'm also getting ready to go to law school in the fall. I'm deciding between Case Western Reserve University, Rutgers University, and Howard University in Washington, D.C. I really am not sure yet where I want to go. Rutgers is giving the most money, but historically, I would definitely love to go to Howard. And with Case is just the primary school for home. And so if I decided to stay home, I probably decide to go to Case. But I have a couple of admitted students weekends to go to. I'm going to get a chance to talk to some alumni, some current students, some faculty. And then hopefully after that, I'll be able to make my decision and figuring out where I want to go.
You know, you can't beat Case.
Yeah.
Especially if they, is that scholarship or is Case talking about you got to pay?
Case is giving me a decent amount of money. They're giving me a little bit over half whatever their tuition rate is.
So with Howard and all these, you paying wherever you're going, right?
Yeah, but Rutgers is actually a little bit cheaper than both Howard and Case, but I'm using my Case scholarship to negotiate more money out of Rutgers and Howard. So it's going to be definitely much less going to either one of those schools.
You know, you can't beat Case hands down.
Yeah.
You can't beat Case for everything.
Yeah.
You can't beat the time of your life you're gonna have at Howard.
Right. Exactly.
And Rutgers is Rutgers. You know, and Rutgers is a safe school to go to, and you can get what you need to do and get it what you do. So
we're gonna see. So
you got options.
Absolutely, and that's a blessing. Everybody's been telling me that, but I'm keep telling them. I keep reminding everybody else, like, yeah, well, it's good to have options initially, but you can only pick one.
That's
and
correct.
So once you pick one, you got to make sure it's the right one. And so that's what we're trying to do right now.
I don't think you can make a bad decision out of that.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. So I find peace in that for sure.
Oh, yeah, you can't make a bad. So, brother, I want to thank you for coming on our program,
Absolutely.
man. You
Thank
enlighten
you so
us,
much.
man. Anytime you got something new you want to let us know
Of
that's
course.
going on, you're welcome to come on our program to let us
course.
know. We definitely going to be looking out more about what you're doing. As
Please.
far as anything you got on your book, we definitely are going to be trying to do what we can from our end to push that out
Without
and
a doubt.
see
Thank
if
you.
we can get people doing. But like we do in most of our programs,
Yes,
we
sir.
end it by letting you have this camera right there. You can say whatever
Absolutely.
you like to say.
Yes,
Make
sir.
sure you plug all the plugs you got. So
Absolutely.
that people know where they can reach you and how they can get in touch with you.
Thank you so much. So everyone, thank you first and foremost for tuning in. My name is Timothy Roberts Jr. Go ahead and purchase any title out of the I Know a Hero book series today on Amazon.com or the incubatorcle.com. Get ready. Be on the lookout on May 15th for the grand opening of the Urban Hero boutique, I guess you would call it, or the clothing line Urban Hero that's getting ready to drop. It's dropping, and it's centered around being able to inform young people and everybody else about the importance of literacy. And I want to make sure that I plug in as well the fact that what was it? I got you. What was it? What was the last one? I wanted to make sure that I plug in as well the Incubator CLE as a marketing company. If you need any marketing services, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a public official, if you have anything going on that you need marketing services for, the incubatorcle.com is the place to go to find those services. Thank you so much, Ken.
Hey, not a problem. Hey, we're going to make sure in our descriptions you'll be able to get all the information that you can reach out to Tim Jr. and find out what's going on. And we will see you on our next episode.
Great, thank you.
got a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Man, listen, I've been cooking for a long time. A couple of my mentors had the same quote. I sort of adopted it the same, man. Do what you can while you can, man. So I try to max out. You never know when anything is going to happen, so you want to make sure that you don't go to sleep with nothing that you're not willing to die without doing.
I think you're doing a hell of a job with the stuff that you got going. I think you got good ideas about how you want to do it. Man,
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
let's get a picture here. All right, then we're going to get a picture over there, too.
Okay.
And then we'll be good to go.
And that's what everybody be saying, man. Everybody be saying that, man. Everybody be saying that. That's
You know, little
hilarious.
Kevin Durant growth spurt
Man.
between college and the NBA.
That's what he grew.
Yeah, he was a guard. And they said he even grew in the NBA because he was listed as 6'9", but he's like 7 foot. Well, they pulled it off yesterday. I think.
So they play tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's in New York tomorrow, right? Yeah, that's gonna be one. I was talking to my nigga. He was like, "Man," he said, "most people don't be understanding." He said, "You know, the Cavs got a young team." He said, "Them boys like 20, 21 years old, man." He said,
very young.
"He said they going out there to play on the big floor."
I definitely got it. Exactly.
You know, when you hit me, I ain't had your number
Oh,
saved.
okay. Yeah, so take my stuff down if you don't have it right now. I'll tell you.
So tell me you and your guy can swing by.
I will actually call him once I leave here and then we can
Get some schedule. Let me know.
gotcha.
I'm usually here all the time. So.
Okay. Excellent. I'll have to get some content up in here. You got an Instagram page for this? Okay, cool. What's the Instagram page?
Kenn,
Oh, I got it. Yep.
that's the one. Strategic moves.
Yep.